I'm back, drums. I'm gonna hit each and every one of you. It's about fun, it's about expression. This is totally what this is all about. Who needs coffee in the morning when we have freaking drums? I ask you to play with as much expression and emotion as you can.
Drumming's global ambassador, Dom Famularo, has long been one of the instrument's biggest advocates. A captivating clinician and educator with arguably the most positive attitude in the entire industry.
We're connected because of this insane art form. I keep saying to myself, it's not about me. It's about that kid watching this that's excited to learn, and if I can make him excited, I want to stand on life's edge and jump with them to leap into this unknown of what passion is giving us. That when I'm gone, as long as all of my students are involved with music, I am part of their life.
Dom motivated and inspired drummers around the world for more than 40 years. He's written and co-written some of the best-selling drum books on the market, taught us about the most important drummers in history, and explained why the grass is always greenest under your feet.
I can feel the love!
But he was so much more than just a drummer. Dom had a well-documented desire to support the next generation and regularly voiced his support for the underdog. He was a mentor and friend to thousands of people around the world, pushing everyone he connected with to become the best version of themselves.
Play music and play drums. You can do this. And you can do this. Play and express yourself so I can hear your depth of your emotion, and I want you, with your performance, to reach into my soul and hug it.
Join us as we pay tribute to the genius of our dear friend, Dom Famularo.
Hi, I'm Dom, and I have some exercises to show you that I have developed over the past few years of playing different musical situations.
Dom's journey into the world of drumming began in Long Island, New York. Born into an Italian-American family, he was surrounded by music from an early age.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you something. Because at one point in all of our lives, we said, I want to play the drums. Whatever inspired you to get you there, and whatever was the motivating force, whether it was you heard somebody on the internet or you heard someone on television. For me, it was February 9th of 1964 when the Beatles played on the Ed Sullivan Show. And I saw this incredible band go up and play songs that were happy and positive and lifting. And then I saw thousands of girls screaming at the television set.
It was the Beatles' performance on the Ed Sullivan Show that really sparked his interest to dive deeper into music and pick up the sticks. This led him to form a band with his siblings. But things didn't always come easy for Dom. You wouldn't believe it by seeing the footage of Dom later in his life, but his early teenage years were marked by a speech impediment and challenges resulting from poor eyesight. Music quickly became Dom's outlet and a way of coping. In one of his many articles published online, Dom wrote that music was my drug. It was the antidote to my challenges. The more I learned the discipline and patience of music, the more I slowed things down so I could better understand. I could listen and focus better. And when someone spoke, I could not only hear the words, but I was actively feeling what they were saying. This became so exciting. Music largely saved me from where I was and helped me become who I am.
And that was powerful. And the stammering challenge, I was afraid to speak, but when I played drums, everyone listened. So the focus of the discipline of practicing really was a part of what resolved my speaking challenges.
Dom was hooked by the drumming bug and decided this was the thing he wanted to do. Growing up in New York at the time, he was able to see legendary drummers like Elvin Jones, Tony Williams, Max Roach, Gene Krupa, and Steve Gadd, all in the same night. He was also fortunate enough to catch the tail end of the big band era, seeing artists like Count Basie, Duke Ellington, Buddy Rich, Louis Bellson's band, and many, many others. Dom quickly made a name for himself in the jazz circuit, developing his own unique sound and way of playing. However, Dom's passion for teaching and spreading the joy of music and drumming quickly came into focus, influencing the trajectory of his remarkable career. He once wrote, "I have studied with the masters, and what they passed on to me was an enthusiasm for self-expression. The fun in my life has been in challenging myself to be the best I can be. But rather than limit myself to just playing in a band, I want to share my talent to pass on the musical and philosophical values I've developed. so others can find and enjoy themselves the way I have.
Teaching is a very, very profound way to be able to pass on information and see the sparkle in someone else's eyes that lifts them up and takes them to another level. And imagine taking your knowledge and delivering that to someone and finding the key that opens them up, and then all of a sudden, they get it. And they get it. Just so you understand the power of teaching, when that student gets that idea and begins to play it and understand it, that means for the rest of their life, you will be with them in the depth of who they are because of that bit of knowledge that you passed on and that you open them up to the joy of playing drums.
Anyone that's taken a drum lesson with Dom would agree that he's an incredible teacher. He taught with enthusiasm, empathy, love, and a real desire to connect and inspire generations of drummers. It's no overstatement to say that Dom is an essential part of the lineage of forefathers in regards to drum technique and application on the kit.
The constant learner. Joe Morello, literally the week before he passed away, I spoke to him on the phone. He was asking me about my feet technique. How do you get your feet to that level of where your hands are at? And we're talking on the phone. I said, well, Joe, I kind of like applied a lot of your techniques of the free stroke and the rebound that you learned from George Lawrence Stone. I started putting it in my feet, and he was excited to hear that.
The common thread amongst these greats is that they were constantly seeking out new information to learn how to become a better drummer, which Dom took to heart.
Drummers that are no longer with us played right till the end. Mm-hmm. This is deep. I mean, I just turned 65 and I'm still enjoying the freedom of this movement, and I'm still as excited about learning it and stepping even further into it to learn more about what my potential might be.
Dom's mentor and close friend Jim Chapin in particular had a profound effect on his outlook on life. Dom recalls the manner in which Jim bravely confronted his own mortality.
Jim Chapin's in Florida at a hospital. I visit him every month. I go to the hospital, I walk in, and the doctor happened to be down in the lobby area. He sees me coming in, and he had to see me every month. He said, boy, Dom, I gotta tell you, Jim's not doing well. He only has maybe hours left. The elevator door opens up on the 3rd floor, and we hear a practice pad going along. We hear this practice pad like playing at this ferocious pace. And so I said to the doctor, I said, well, as we're walking to the room, he must have a student in there playing. How great is this that towards the end he's hearing someone perform for him? We walk in the room, and it's Jim. He's sitting up in the bed, he's got the practice pad on his lap, and he's playing match grip and playing, but I mean ferociously. So as we walk in, I turned to the doctor, I said, this is a guy with hours left? Look at him. Jim, what are you doing? And he looked at me and he said, I'm practicing, and my left hand's getting better.
In Dom's endless wisdom, he always recognized the importance of understanding the history of the drums. After all, we wouldn't be where we are today without the drummers that came before us. In many ways, Dom was the great connector between generations of amazing drummers and educators. And when you look at where Dom fits into the picture, you can see how he bridged the gap between what came before us and to where we're going in the future of drumming.
The drum teacher lineage. This is very important because what this does, it allows you to put yourself onto the area of where information came from in the past. So I had first discovered these 3 great teachers of Billy Gladstone, George Lawrence Stone, and Sanford Moeller. And these 3 guys were the top teachers in the early 1900s. And I had asked Max Roach, I said, Max, since these guys are gone, how do I learn this stuff? Who are their best students? So Max turned me on to Shelley Mann, best student of Billy Gladstone, Joe Morello, the best student of George Lawrence Stone, and Jim Chapin, the best student of Moeller. I seeked these people out and I learned from them.
His ability to connect with musicians from all walks of life speaks to a mindset that goes beyond drumming. And as Dom would always say, the mind is like a parachute. It only works when it is open. Enthusiasm is the antidote to negativity, the enemy of pessimism, and the destroyer of do-nothing indifference. This positive attitude allowed him to communicate old concepts and ideas to a younger audience effectively. Dom is a huge reason why we still refer to classic drum books like Stick Control and Advanced Techniques for the Modern Drummer. From there, Dom suggests checking out classics like Accents and Rebounds by George Lawrence Stone and Master Studies from the jazz legend Joe Morello.
Master Studies, which is an absolute classic. You know, when you work on stick control, after you finish stick control, the place to then go really is Accents and Rebounds and then Master Studies 1, which Joe put together. And even though you'll probably never finish stick control, as I'm still working on it, you'll also never finish Joe Morello's books. They'll be with you for the rest of your life, constantly inspiring you and making you think differently.
Seeing Dom in action with his mentors is a special thing, and you can almost see how he's trying to soak up as much information as possible, just like any of us would do with our own drum teachers.
Jim, just show some triplets. Yeah, right there. Hold some triplets so we can just see the motion.
A little slower.
Yeah.
If I can do something inside.
There it is.
Dom would go on to write and co-author some of the best-selling drum books out there, like It's Your Move, The Weaker Side, and many, many others. While technique and laying a solid foundation to build advanced concepts were undoubtedly important in Dom's approach to teaching, he never lost track of one of the most important things: individuality. He recognized that no two drummers out there are the same, and he encouraged all of his students to pursue their own unique voice and way of expressing themselves on the drums.
For everyone listening all around the world, we share this passion of loving this instrument and having a relationship with the sounds that are here. These sounds are a part of my voice. You know, art is about expression. Music is the language that we choose, but drums, this is our voice, and each of you has a voice, and the object now is to discover that voice and then share it.
Right.
That's the journey.
Dom would regularly apply his learnings to his own playing. Over time, he developed his own signature style consisting of open-handed drumming, and this really showcased his mastery of limb independence. His Louis Bellson-inspired double bass patterns, and of course, his iconic cymbal swiping technique. Dom's playing was just as expressive and dynamic as his personality. I mean, just check out the way he finished off this solo from his first visit to Drumeo. So that's just classic Dom. I mean, I don't know if there's any other drummers who could just be tapping the edge of the cymbal and get as stoked as Dom was. Dom was also committed to keeping traditions alive, and one of my favorite examples of this was during the Drumeo Festival in 2020 when Dom just decided that he wanted to open the event with a hi-hat solo inspired by Max Roach. Dom was always learning how to be a better drummer, student, teacher, and person in general. But maybe one thing that he doesn't get enough credit for is how quickly he adapted to the changing landscape of drum lessons with the emergence of the internet. He quickly recognized this as a powerful way to connect with students around the world, reaching an entirely new audience.
Tell us how you got into adapting and learning that technology.
As I started to understand traveling the world and doing these different clinics and playing with some great artists and traveling, I would meet drummers in different states and then eventually in different countries that would say, Dom, I want to take some lessons with you. As the internet came about, it was easy to start opening up the connection to welcome technology. And it's my 3 boys that are my IT team. They fill me in on what I need. I have a question, I contact them. They are way more savvy with technology. And as they guide me along the way, then I find success in that. So they really help me to open the doors.
In many ways, Dom revolutionized private instruction and laid the foundation for what we're doing here at Drumeo today. He was committed to not only becoming the best drummer he could be, but to making this knowledge as accessible as possible for everyone in the world.
Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for drumming ambassador, Mr. Dom Famularo.
Great, guys, thanks. Oh my gosh, great job. Great job.
Dom is known as drumming's global ambassador. He literally travels the world. How many countries this year?
This year so far, about, I think 19. I have 7 more left before the end of the year.
Right.
Dom was on a mission to teach the world the power of the drums. And in many ways, he succeeded. Dom was one of the most sought-after clinicians and private instructors in the entire world. He rarely advertised this, but he had a mind-boggling 2,500 students across 30 different countries over the last few years, both online and in person. For most, this would be more than enough to handle, but Dom had an unwavering passion to connect with drummers in real life all around the world, traveling to over 60 countries over the course of his career.
Why do you travel and where do you travel to?
The traveling still inspires me. I was just in Brazil a couple of weeks ago, and just to go there and meet Brazilian drummers that are inspired by hearing me play and wanting to hear these stories, it's the fact that my influence can reach some inspired drummers in Brazil, it's not until they meet me in person or I meet them in person does that connection become real. You know, when you're watching a computer screen, you can look at somebody, they might be alive or dead. You don't really have a relationship with them until you really, and you know this from all your traveling, when you have that relationship with them, you really step into their life. Once you step into their life, then you have the responsibility to lift them.
Whether it was a drum festival, clinic, masterclass, or any other type of drum event, Dom actually took the time to shake the hands of every person in attendance. And that's just classic Dom. He would just always do that. It seems as though every drummer we've ever met has a Dom story. And I think this ability to connect with people from all walks of life was actually instilled in Dom from an early age.
And is it passion for music or is it passion for people?
It really comes from my parents. My parents were just so great. They never taught us love. They were too busy showing it. So the feeling of love was always in the household. Listen, our house was like the UN. You know, musician friends, we had different religions, different cultures, different ethnic backgrounds at the table. My mother would say, boy, you're here, let's sit down and eat. So there was always that greatness of whatever you choose to do, just make sure you do it the best you can.
His infectious personality and passion for the drums always made his performances memorable. Dom was no stranger to making headlines. He broke barriers with his open-minded approach, becoming the first Western drummer to perform clinics in China. And this paved the way for other drummers to connect with this part of the world. Over time, Dom would go on to build his own publishing company and network of drum schools named Wisdom Media.
And then I met up with a wonderful student of mine that eventually got on to greater and bigger things, Joe Bergamini, and we started a company, Wisdom Media, and with that we started to publish drum books, our own books and books for other people. And that's always been exciting to me, be involved with ideas that I can get ideas put out. And if sometimes I have an idea, I can't write that book, so I align myself with a student to write it with me, and then we share on the royalties, and I help them live their career. They get their name on the book, they get their bio in the book, it helps their career grow, and we all kind of help this thing putting it together.
Nowadays, there are Wisdom drum schools in France, Italy, Hong Kong, London, and Brazil. But it was more than just his teaching that elevated Dom to the status of drumming's global ambassador. As a member of the Sessions panel, Dom further pushed his mission to enrich, educate, and empower future generations by interviewing legendary drummers and musicians alike.
Vinny, I only have to say that name. Stuart, this is so great to have some time with you at this point. Annika, this is great to be with you. Tommy, thank you so much for joining us.
If you haven't already, consider checking out the Sessions YouTube channel. There's hundreds of hours of footage with deep insights and stories from legendary musicians. Ultimately, though, this too was all about giving back for Dom.
How important is that to you?
Oh, it's everything. It's everything. It's the legacy of my life.
Dom's impact on the world of drumming is profound. His infectious passion, unmatched dedication, and unwavering support for drummers of all backgrounds have left an indelible mark on the industry.
It is beyond absurd how many A-list drummers, the top guys that I run into, whether I'm working with them or not, who will tell me at some stage, well, you know, the first clinic I ever went to was Dom Famularo. I was 10 years old when I went to see Dom Famularo.
But if you listen closely, Dom's philosophy and mission go deeper than just drumming.
The greatest accomplishment I have had in my life have been my children and my family. I want them to see that if I can push myself and still make a difference, as opposed to retiring and stepping back, that becomes huge, that the example is with our lives. You know, I say the essence is to make a difference, to matter. If I believe in that, that's got to be a way of life. And if it's a way of life, it has to be every day. And if it's every day when I wake up in the morning, I've got to stop and say, today's going to be a great day, because it just could very well be my last day. We don't own tomorrow. I don't even own later. And if my last day is going to be that moment, and I have a moment to reflect, I can say, boy, did I push this all the way.
And if I can bring joy through my craft, even just playing for my family, and my parents smile when they see me playing with a little band or just playing, you know, to some records at home, you've already succeeded.
Yeah.
If we can go a little further than that, that's where the journey is.
Right.
On how we can push ourselves to see, we have to just believe in ourselves enough that we can say, I'm going to make this happen.
Dom was an acclaimed motivational speaker, lecturer, counselor. He reached the hearts and minds of individuals from all walks of life. His book, The Cycle of Self-Empowerment, stands as a testament to his special ability to inspire and empower.
What does this mean to you?
Well, the cycle of self-empowerment, those arrows, it's the ongoing driven cycle that we all live in, and how we empower ourselves from being passionate about something to your dream and your vision. And I began to talk about these ideas with my students. From there, I began to do these lectures around the world, and people would ask me about my philosophy of self-empowerment. So the book wasn't written. The ideas were just discussed ideas. As these ideas worked and students began to become self-empowered, I then began to notate this to eventually the book wrote itself.
It's beautiful.
Through his engaging storytelling and practical insights, he shares a profound message that resonates far beyond the drumming community. Sometimes you just have to stop and put on a pair of rose-colored glasses and enjoy the present moment.
Well, we have to pause on time to put those glasses on, so I take a little moment with my wonderful wife to come out here and just check out the beautiful sights that are in front of us, and it allows me to be inspired to continue on and continue this crazy journey. Thanks.
It felt like Dom had something great to say every time he spoke. He understood that drums were just a vehicle to reach more people, and he had a way of reframing difficult situations into something you could overcome.
What I love about the word challenge is that inside the word challenge, the first 3 letters and the last 3 letters of challenge is change. Once I accept a new challenge, I have to accept change. And as a student, you have to be able to embrace change. I'm gonna step out of my comfort zone and learn something that I didn't learn, because that might just unlock an idea that might come out in my playing that I didn't know existed, that all of a sudden I discovered.
Right.
And when you have that aha moment where you discover, wow, where did that come from? Whoa! There's an excitement in that if we keep on finding those aha moments, those moments of creativity, and you keep building on those, that's really where our student quality of growing and learning really increases.
Dom was able to motivate like no other. The genuine joy of lifting others up and making a difference fueled his journey throughout. I challenge you not to be inspired after listening to this clip.
And you know what I want you all to understand is that I believe in you all. I absolutely believe in all of you. I think you are the potential and the future of the next generation of drummers. I believe in you 100%. I only ask one thing from you. Prove me right, that you are the next generation that continues to learn from Drumeo, you continue to practice, and you continue to go out there, stretch your comfort zone, perform, share, and inspire others. I know you can do that. Just prove me right.
So I hope this tribute to Dom motivates you all to get behind the kit, because that's exactly what he would have wanted. Dom came out to the studio here multiple times and made a huge impact on all of us here at Drumeo, as a drummer, as a close friend, and as a mentor to all of us. And even though Dom's no longer with us, his legacy and his passion for drums is something that's going to live on for years and years to come.